And to all of you who are new to my channel, welcome. Today I'm going to focus on all professionals and people who are focused on navigating career growth, financial stability, systemic challenges, while building wealth for yourself and even more so, generational wealth. Here's how the US, in my perspective, and according to data, could adapt successful wage and economic models from other countries that are thriving, such as Switzerland, Belgium, Singapore, and Sweden, that can actually help for people to progress further in life financially. First, let's start off with a progressive wage model in Singapore versus the US version, where it's skill-based pay equity. So what it means for us is instead of, just thinking about the minimum wage, we need structured wage ladders tied to skills, traits, certifications, and productivity. And especially in areas like service, healthcare, logistics, real estate, and as for a Black professional, it definitely would mean real pay increases for upskilling through programs such as Google certification and union apprenticeships. And this is what the US could do. They can create federal incentives for companies that adopt tiered wage systems. They could also expand different grants, such as Pell grants, to create eligibility to include short-term, high-impact training. So all of these young adults and even teenagers, they need to have training in order to obtain jobs and to become well-versed. Not only multitask, but also to have multiple streams of income. Second, automatic wage indexation, like in Belgium, versus the United States, inflation-proof paychecks. So what it means is inflation, as we know, hits real hard for us, such as groceries, our rent, people who have children, childcare, medical bills, so many different types of insurance. Whereas in Belgium, they adjust the wages automatically based on inflation. I think that is superb. That's what we should have from decades ago here in the United States, where as soon as there is inflation, we need to get paid more. That's just survival, and it just makes more sense. Imagine your paycheck rising 3 to 4% just because the cost of living did. Then you can live a dignified life. For example, what the US could do is they can tie federal and state minimum wages to the consumer price index. They can also require large employers to offer inflation adjusted cost of living adjustments. Large employers such as, Amazon, Walmart, these mega corporations, so many we have, they need to adjust even more so the wages so that people will not need to work 3, 4 jobs, especially when you have children to support. You need to be there for them, of course, and not having to pay high costs for childcare. Third, skills future. In Singapore, this is where their mindset is. When you look at reports on Singapore, it seems like there are so many millionaires in Singapore, and they start at a very young age. They have this mindset to have their own business versus the US version of lifelong learning credits. In Singapore, it gives every adult credits to upskill, whether they're as young as even 25 or even 45 middle age. In the US, we need more access to finance, green economy training, and even tech training. Thank goodness, there's YouTube, there is many online universities, and people who are actually just teaching from their own perspective, from their training, people who were, who worked in Silicon Valley, many tech gurus and consultants. Thankfully, they are sharing the knowledge. So, what the US can do, they can create more of a federal skills wallet. So, with $1,000 a year, for example, for every adult to get approved training, having a certificate, um, learning, to increase your skills, become even more upgraded in your field does a lot. You can become more competitive, market yourself more. Also, they can partner with so many community colleges, even to deliver relevant programs for people all throughout the United States. Doesn't matter where you are in the US, whether you're living in the urban or suburbs or rural communities. Fourth, collective bargaining we should have, and even sectorial agreements. But that is in the case of Belgium and Sweden versus the United States, where we have industry wage floors. So we know that there is a large amount of people in retail, hospitality, and care work. These industries unfortunately have low union density and stagnant wages. With the amount of people who are in these industries, they should be thriving because these are needed jobs, these are needed careers. They should be getting paid as much as lawyers, as much as doctors, as much as judges. These are the people that we must rely on in order to survive, in order to, to be healthy. There also needs to be sectorial bargaining, which is standardized pay and benefits all across the different industries. So it doesn't matter only for education and also medical, all industries, retail, people who work in, customer service. We need to have upscale medical benefits as well as the high wages and trainings. And here in the United States, here in the United States, um, it should be where we pass legislation allowing industry wide bargaining for sectors for even fast food, home care, even warehouse work to thrive, and to protect union rights and expand access for even gig and contract workers. Thankfully, so many people have realized, especially since 2020, that they need to have their job as well as a side gig, their own side business, but basically multiple streams of income. Fifth, real time wage tracking that they have in Switzerland versus United States, where we have transparent pay dashboards. And we know that wage transparency is a superpower in itself. Switzerland tracks wage growth in real time. Here in the United States, it's like we're still guessing what our coworkers earn, and we're still guessing why were we given this wage when we're living in, for example, New York City, whether you're living in California, and we know that the cost of living is so high. Why are you giving this salary when we know that it's so hard to thrive on it? Why not, for example, certain rural areas, if anything, they could live on a lower salary than someone who's in urban or a city area. So why aren't salaries, up to par with where you're living, the cost of living? And we know, for example, that many people are getting high bills in gas and electric bills, water bills, for example, all of these things that we cannot do without. So we need to have much higher wages. Here in the United States, it should be a requirement that companies with 100 or even more employees, they should increase the wages even more. And they should create a public dashboard to show the wage trends by zip code and industry. Unbelievable. For example, I've been watching the newest documentary on Hurricane Katrina. In 2005, there in Louisiana, and even now in parts of Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, there are so many people who are living well below the poverty level here in the United States. It's baffling. This is even 20 years ago, people were living in poverty, and it still occurs now. We know that in, of course, certain states, the cost of living is low, but no one should be living in such poverty in the United States, period. So we really need to change the architecture. We need to change the entire structure of opportunity here in the United States. We should not just be surviving, we need to be thriving here. We need to get rid of this wage stagnation. This is a huge economic issue that we know is increasing, unfortunately. We definitely need to go a lot deeper into, what is happening with policies and, these businesses closing down, jobs being lost, and so forth. So, everyone, what is your opinion regarding this? And, please leave a comment below. I would like to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching. And please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks a million, and stay safe wherever you are.
This straight. Inflation is going to keep going up. Taxes are going to keep going up. Interest rates are going to keep going up. National debt's going to keep going up. Wages are probably going to be going down now with the implementation of AI. It's going to make easier mundane shit, much easier to do. So what's the end game here? So if you're not already rich, or you're not going to be rich very soon, what is really the end game here? I'm actually asking you, what is the end game?
So I just got my hammer bill. Mind you, I live in Missouri. Single household, so it's just me, my dog, and 2 cats. House isn't huge, not even, it's normal, right? They're bed, 2 bath, nothing crazy, a little under 1,700 square foot, literally nothing crazy, right? My bill, $282.99. Carla Joe, vacation's over, girl. Vacation is over. Where are the brothers at? But honestly, when does it end? When does it stop?
$830.27. Anybody want to guess what that is? You won't guess. So I'm just going to share it with you. That is my electric bill this month. Okay? Full disclosure, that is less than last month. Our bill last month was $1,130.98. I'm sorry, it's insane. That is my mortgage payment plus more. Okay? I don't know how anybody is expected to pay that. So, our house is big. It's not huge. It's not a mansion. It's about 2,500 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 3 baths. We had 5 children. Our bills with our children, all 5 living at home, were between $400 and $700 a month. So we have called the electric company. They've come out. We live beside a restaurant. We were adamant that we were paying the electric company's bill also. It's ridiculous. Who can afford even $400 a month for electricity, but they expect us to pay $830 or $1,130. So, yeah, I logged in this morning to see what our bill was when it was due, $830.27.
So we got our electric bill for the month of July, $650. For the month of June, it was $560. For the month of August, if it keeps raising, our electric company, Centerpoint Energy, they're pieces of... We will have given them $2,000 in 3 months just for our electric bill.